Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are starting season 2 of Mob Psycho 100. I'm so excited! I'm so excited. Season 1 was wonderful. I loved season 1. It was not what I expected at all from this series. It completely blew me away, and we still have 2 awesome seasons to watch, and like an OVA and other things. So the Mob Psycho agenda is going to be going on for a while, and the truck on Patreon's Discord was talking about, like, do you know that there's Mob Psycho, like, stage plays? Well, of course I want to watch those. I do not watch stage plays for all of the series that I view because it can be hard to find the versions with English subtitles. I did watch a Yona the Dawn stage play, but I didn't have subtitles for it, so it was a reaction of it. But I've really kind of wanted to watch Mob Psycho stage plays, mainly because the actor playing Mob is the voice actor for Mob in the show. He's actually a theater actor, and he plays Mob both in a stage play and on the show, and I'm like, that's so freaking cool. He literally is Mob, and I kind of want to see that. And I've seen a couple images of Reigen in the stage plays, and I'm like, no need to see that. So I'm really excited. I figure we'll save the stage plays till after I'm done with the anime all the way through, and just see it through proper all 3 seasons. But then, yeah, afterwards, yes, I definitely do want to watch the stage plays. That's gonna be a thing. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm just excited to be starting a new season and to be seeing. Last season, I was so worried it was gonna end on like this dour note, and it's like Ritsu would have been taken away by Sho, or Mob would have been like in a lowly depressive state. But no, everything ended up being totally fine. I mean, Sho kind of told off his dad, and that was that, but everything else was totally okay. We get a new OP, a new ED, just new things are happening, and I'm so excited. So yes, I'm pretty hyped up for this second season already, as you can tell, and I'm ready to start and dive in. So please no spoilers, please no hits or clues, as per usual, but y'all have been amazing, so don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I'm really excited. I don't have any new comments because I'm recording a teensy bit ahead, but I just couldn't wait. I was like, I wanted to go ahead and start. But before we do actually start, we have the Reigen Thirst update. As if I'd forget that. There's been a lot of Reigen Thirst-worthy things pop up. First of all, there's been a lot of amazing official art shed on the Patreon Discord, and from several individuals, but I want to give shout outs to my favorites from the last week. First of all, this one I feel like it's a Chainsaw Man crossover almost, with all the toast and the jam, but this combination here of Reigen, Teru, and Mob with Dimple eating the toast. I like that it looks like Mob's is kind of like bruschetta maybe, and then Teru has the grilled cheese and he's looking over at Mob like, and then Reigen's got like, I guess it's strawberry jam on his. What a basic bitch. Like, just the best. And then Dimple's like trying to like get through Mob's unruly hair. It's wonderful. I freaking love that image. It may be my new wallpaper soon. As soon as I'm done with this image being my wallpaper, because that's what it is right now. It's Reigen with the jam and the toast, putting on the suit. He doesn't have the shirt all buttoned up yet. That's my wallpaper now. It was Mob with the guitar, and now I've moved on to this. I don't know. There's something about Mob Psycho official art that seems like it's tailor-made to be desktop wallpapers. And I'm living for this life. But I love that one a lot. I also really love this one. It's for the second season. Reigen in the white tux, because why wouldn't he have a white tux? And I like that his vest and bow tie kind of match his normal pink tie that he wears for the suits. It's clever. But he's wearing that, and he has the rose. Mob has a rose. Ritsu's like, you need an adult, but not Reigen. So Dimple's doing the hearts. It's cute. And Teru's doing the hearts. We've talked about this extensively in the Discord, but Teru is the only anime character I know that can pull off fashion like that. Like the puffy vest with a leopard print shirt and purple Converse or purple Vans or whatever their equivalents are. What other anime character can pull that off and look stylish? None that I see. And he's wearing shorts with like leggings. Teru, fashion icon. But I also love this one. Speaking of season 1, their outfits are taken from the end of season 1, but they're all having like food together. It's really cute. They're all trying to make Mob eat something. Teru's like got his head lovingly propped against Mob's. Remember when I shipped Ritsu and Teru? Those were fun times. Now Ritsu's moved on to Sho maybe, or at least my shipping has moved on to it. But I love it. I love any time that Reigen puts the tie back over his shoulder like the typical businessman does when he eats. That relates to this image. Freaking love it. Like Reigen eating. Reigen has like the fried rice and the steam buns. Very classic food. Mob has the burger and fries. Ritsu has some kind of like weird noodles. It looks like some soba noodles, maybe. And then Teru has like the sundaes, like all the sweets. Which Teru, if he has a big sweet tooth, that's rather interesting. But I like that. I like them eating all the foods. And then finally, as far as official art goes, there is this image of all of them in their season 3 attire that was shared to like show off for season 3. At least of these 4. These were the only ones I showed. Mob's outfit, amazing. Color coordinated, the geometric patterns, I love it. It's fashionably wonderful. Reigen, freaking classic. His jacket stripes match the stripes on Mob's belt, and he has a chain wallet because he's 30, and Dimple's on the chain wallet, and then he has green Oxfords, and like the vest, and the stripes on the vest match the Oxfords. I'm living for it. Ritsu has this camo jacket. I'm not a big camo fan, but he somehow makes it work. Much like Teru. Teru with the ripped jeans and the bomber jacket with the pink plaid. How does he make these things work? But I love all the official art that y'all have shared so far. But the last thing that I have is, this was shared on Twitter. I guess with that new official art that came out of Reigen, the pose that he's in, we saw someone like just rotated him around and photoshopped him with the falling at the Met Gala meme. Only our king. Only our king. So that was a lot of fun. I really liked that. But the Reigen thirst continues. I'm really excited. Now that Reigen can see Dimple, I feel like it's opened up all of these avenues for humor, for interactions, for all this stuff. So Reigen, we may see a lot more of him in season 2 and 3 than we have season 1. And I'm totally fine with that. So, but anyway, new OP, new ED, new season. Let's kick it off. I'm pretty excited. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to start episode 1 of season 2 of Mob Psycho 100. And we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. This episode was so surprisingly wholesome and mob focused, and I'm kind of here for it. I mean, obviously, based on the OP, I want to find out what's going on with Sho and Claw, and we'll probably get to all of that, but this was really developing some things with Mob and what everyone's agenda with Mob is, which is rather curious, right? Rather curious. I was debating whether or not to bring Whiteboard Coon out, but then I was like, no, because I want to kind of detail like where everybody's at right now so far in the series, but also, I don't want to be spoiled, but there's a lot. I just want to make a note. I don't want anybody elaborating on it yet or confirming things or whatever, but there was a lot of imagery from this first episode that was in the OP from last season. So I was like, huh. So I don't want anything like, I don't want anybody spoiling or giving hints or being like, don't worry, you'll find out more about that. I don't want any of that. But I just want to make a comment of it to say that I noticed it and was like, that's really bizarre. So, how about that, right? That's kind of cool. I was like, so it was foreshadowing stuff from way back before we even got to this. But Mob, my little cinnamon bun, a precious summer child, like he's 27% towards explosion again. We're a third of the way there already. But our precious bean, I liked Emmy. Emmy was good, but we'll talk about Tsubomi-chan. Why you holding out on Mob? What is this? What is this business? Tell him you like him. Or get to know him or talk to him or something. So we'll talk about Tsubomi-chan, and that's a whole thing. But so we start back out again with the whole, with the tomb that has the names on them, that says the phrase on it that says Namu Amida Butsu. Whatever that amounts to. But basically elaborating that there are strange phenomena in the world, little Dimple-sama will-o-wisps of spirits, and then when people come face to face with them, and a lot of this imagery is from the OP, then they are helpless and thrown to the dark depths of fear and have to be helped out by those who fight every day. And the one in the middle kind of looks Reagan-ish, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's another villain. But then we have Suishu. We have we have a monk-looking guy, and we have a guy that looks like Yu Yu Hakusho, and all this, right? And they are the ray of hope called psychics. Okay. And Mob happens to be one of them, right? So yeah, the T. I want to talk about this guy that hires Reigen to come and help out. And I like how we're getting more with Reigen's character, and it's funny because Reigen's very polite and he comes to clearly this man's house. There's like nothing on the shelves. There's cobwebs. The man has a hole in his socks. Like they don't have a lot of resources. And he's like, my idiot son's starting high school. So he's basically saying like my son's going to school. So we don't really have any resources or money to pay. And Reigen's like, oh, you don't think you can pay? And he's like, well, it depends on how much. And Reigen's like, well, I am running a business here, so I'm going to need something in the form of compensation. And we see his exorcism reduced rate executing the pamphlet he's given the father. The father does not have that form of compensation to give him. So he's like, well, how about this? I'll take 30% of your crop harvest if I exercise the fields. But what's kind of fun, he has that like very creepy face. Reigen's just like, his face instantly gets maniacal. And the guy's like, 30%? And he's like, of these vegetables? You're okay with me paying you with radishes? Okay. The daikon fairies are real. But I like that Reigen says he looked into this. Like he did some agricultural research before he came here, saying that he doesn't see any issues with fertilizer. A jack of all trades. Reigen's like, I've gone through everything. I did my research. Looks like we should be able to grow some decent vegetables here. But he's like, what do you think, Mob? And Mob's like, I think you should not summon me on short notice out to this cornfield in the future, you know. And he's like, no, it could be the work of daikon fairies. And so then I just love this entire first battle is such a great way to start out the season where you have Reigen and Mob. I love that it's just like in season 1, it's Reigen and Mob working together, but now Reigen can see the spirits. And so he's a little bit more involved in the battles. And I like that it's really clever how they do it, that they incorporate Reigen in here being like, oh, you can take care of this, right? But when they go underground, Mob tries to test out a new theory, saying that it drags him underground. I was a little bit worried, and he's like, I've never thought about doing that. Because he was talking about it's controlling living things like a remote control car. He's like, what if I could use my psychic powers to control these plants? And the thing of him like spinning in the cornfield is the same thing from the OP, only it was him and Ritsu. He's like, I wonder if I can do that too, the same as an evil spirit. So let's talk about Mob. So Mob is realizing, I'm like throwing out my back. Mob is realizing a couple different things. One is that he can possibly control objects the same as evil spirits. That he possibly could take control and do that. And it would be, I could see Mob not feeling bad doing that because they are inanimate objects. They're not real. They're not, a living thing. So he probably would feel okay about that, right? So we have that to look at. And it kind of works too, but he says that it was too much power. He put too much power into it and just stopped the plants and everything altogether. And he destroyed the spirit in the end. And then the thing of it is, it becomes this cool skull, and then it becomes a little seed. And Reigen takes the seed. I'm like, that thing was just possessed by an evil spirit. But I guess since it's exorcised, it's fine. He's like, I'm going to start a home garden. Reigen. He's like, if it works out, we can save money on food. Always looking for a way to save a buck, that Reigen Arataka. Mm-hmm. The veggies we were supposed to get as payment were a bust. Yeah, they weren't any good. But he gave me soil, fertilizer, and vegetable seeds instead. So he gave him like hummus, liquid fertilizer, 3 times a day organic fertilizer, the Mob Ponics, which is great, and all of these seeds. So yeah, I like that Reigen and some gloves. In the end, Reigen is an opportunist. But at the end of the day, he didn't force that man to give him money. He let him pay him in a way that was reasonable and would give Reigen something to make a profit on in the future. So that's, again, Reigen showing that, yeah, he's a con man, but he's got a heart of gold deep beneath all of that, right? So he ends up getting Mob broccoli seeds, which we saw broccoli in the OP for the last season, right? And we saw it in this season's OP. He's like, here's some broccoli seeds. He's like, I'm getting paid in kind now. He's like, oh, thank you very much. And so then, yeah. And of course, he's like, we have some cherry tomatoes here. So the thing about this is, Reigen's like, okay, Mob, what can you do? And he uses his psychic powers to manipulate the plants to grow, just like in the OP, right? Just like in the OP from last season. The problem is, and I love that all the different versions of Reigen's face are like all these gleeful things. One has the money bag eyes, one's like super happy, and one's like crazed and manic. They all look slightly tired. I'm like, oh, Reigen, honey. And Reigen's just so excited. Oh my God. I want to get a picture of it like without, oh my God, without him, just like without the words over it. But then when he tastes the cherry tomatoes, they don't have any good taste. They're garbage. So you can artificially make them grow, but it's not the same. Yep. This month only, if you have 3 evil spirits, the exorcism fee on one of them is on the house. God. So yeah, and we even got a call back to the mini series, the Mob minis with this umami thing. Like, what the heck? I love it. He's like, you can take some cherry tomatoes home with you. These garbage ones. So yeah, I like the song for the second OP. It's not the first one, but it's really good. I like it so far. I think it'll grow on me. The visuals, like with the Rubik's Cube and them all being, I have a feeling I'm going to like go through this this OP of visuals and like examine it hardcore, which really has me excited. I like it. But yeah, that one guy looked like Goda, and then Sho and Sakurai showing up in this. The visuals look amazing. Sho looks like he's going to be absolutely a problem, but it looks like Sho's fighting his father. I'm so hyped. I can't wait. And then, of course, there's Mob. So, yeah. So, okay, we've got some different things going on, right? We have at Soisery, we have our 12th official meeting of the Psycho Helmet Religion group. So, okay. I want to make note of what certain people are doing. So, Mob has found out he can control plants, right? I'm not going to put Reigen on here right now because all he's doing is mainly figuring out. Reigen's still Reigen. Reigen's not doing anything new. He's just got a new outlook on things now that he knows Mob's a real Esper and what he can do. And so then we have, why can't I say her name right? Masato. There we go. I wanted to call her Mexico, but it's Masato. So she's meeting with the Psycho Helmet, and it's their 12th meeting. And so they are looking for Mob. And she is deceiving them and leading them on. Which I'm kind of curious. I know we're going to find out at some point, but I'm like, why is she leading them on? Because she says that she needs Mob. She needs Mob to be a leader. I'm like, is she related to Claw? Is she, got some inside intel on Claw too? Because she doesn't seem that freaked out by the whole Esper deal. So does she have some inside, family in the Claw division that we don't know about? Is she Sho's sister? We don't know about it. Masato, I don't know. But she wants Mob to become a leader. And she wants to hold off on introducing him to the Psychic Helmet organization. She doesn't think he'll want to lead them. So she's curious. I don't know what her agenda is. I don't know what the point of her creating this cult and wanting Mob to lead it, what that's going to get her in the end. So that's rather interesting. But yeah, this just cult crew. I love that there's the giant painting of Socrates and Aristotle, like talking amongst the others in the Greek, in the middle of Greece, having their rhetorical discussions. I love it. But she's trying to figure out, what can we do? How can we make Mob a leader? And so then we have Kamuro Shinji. So she decides that since Kamuro originally steps down, and they have an election for class president. Which apparently can be from all grades in middle school. In our school, it was each class, each grade had a president, but here it's just of the whole middle school. So Kamuro steps down, which I actually kind of like that. I know he didn't tell the others, but I like that he stepped down because his reasons made a lot of sense. He was like, yeah, I kind of, did some things I shouldn't have, and I don't deserve to be president. So it's fine. I'm just going to step down and let somebody else take over. And I realize now why I didn't recognize him. His hair is totally different. He straightened his hair. It's not all messy like it was earlier on in season 1. At the end of season 1, I was like, why does he look different? Well, he doesn't have the bags under his eyes nearly as much. He looks like he's gotten more sleep. He looks like he's healthier. That's good. And then Masato realizes, she's like, I have something that can help Mob-kun grow. And this is it. But there's no reason Mob would want to run. So how do I do it? And then she realizes that Mob loves Tsubomi. So she knows that Mob has a crush on Tsubomi. Okay. And she's like, that's how I'll con him into running for class president. I'll tell him to be something that Tsubomi would want. And again, Mob has no problem talking to girls. It's just Tsubomi-chan that he has the big crush on. And apparently she's the school idol. Okay. And then Misato is interesting here because she's like, I don't know what you see in her. I'm like, Misato might be a little bit jealous of Tsubomi because I'm going to put Tsubomi right here. Tsubomi, she is a childhood friend with Mob, but she's the school idol. She's a social butterfly, so that's kind of hard, right? Because even if it's not intentional, Tsubomi being really popular and being outgoing and extroverted, if you have friends that are really extroverted, sometimes they like being around people all the time and having different friend circles. And if you're like someone that is not extroverted or outgoing and you're kind of more withdrawn or reserved, or not as sociable, then the fact that she'd be going through all these social circles, it can kind of feel like she's ignoring you or that she doesn't want to be with you. But the reality is she's probably just really popular and likes talking to a lot of people. Mob is not like that. So that's interesting. But Misato, I like that she doesn't get what Mob sees in her. She is not above that. She is not on board with that superficial, surface level life. She thinks there needs to be something else beyond the surface or an Esper power, you know. And Mob's like, I've been friends with her since we were little. And he's like, he didn't even know she was the school idol. He's like, Mob doesn't pay attention to like social constructs or like how the class cliques work. He doesn't care, right? And he's like, oh. And she's like, how'd you end up in these situations? Like, she's your childhood friend. Why can't you talk to her? He's like, under normal circumstances, you'd have no chance with her. But I have an opportunity for you. And he's like, what do you mean? And it's just like his face looks like the president, like the religious cult leader's face. And she's like, hook, line, and sinker. She's like, the class president seat's vacant. And she's like, Takane-san is out of your league, which is Tsubomi's name. But if you were school president... I love that Mob, he waves the hand and has all things, just like, hey, what's up? Like, that's just Mob trying to be cool. Aww. He's like, if you were class president, you could shoot up the ranks and you could get close. You could close the gap between you and your school idol. And I like that Mob's hair is all actually like not mismatched and unkempt, but it's actually like flowing in that dream. And Mob is super excited about that. He's like, oh. She's like, I wouldn't mind helping you out, but you just owe me one. She's like, you just owe me a favor, right? It's the opportunity to show who you really are, Mob-kun. And he looks like he's going to run away, but then he gets his resolve. And he's like, every time Mob gets his resolve, he just does a, like his head just like bobs. He's like, yes, I'll do it. And so, oh my God, the hardcore training montage. Best. It's the best. It shows him like reading the magazine, him doing the body improvement club, him like under the waterfall training with the robe on. And then somehow him fighting a bear. He's not nude. I guess he has like a little loincloth there on, but fighting a bear. Why? It's great. And then she's teaching him like, I love that she's teaching him all the things to know for his speech. And then we have the president, the student council. And so the one guy that runs looks like the stereotypical run-of-the-mill jock guy. He's like, hey. And then you have one guy that looks like Ida from My Hero Academia. And then you have Kimura come up. Kimura is like, he comes up there and he's like, yeah, I did resign, but I'm going to put myself on the ballot again. And if y'all really want me to come back, I'll do it. But if not, I'll accept my fate. Right? And he was kind of pushed to do so. And then Mob, and I like that Ritsu's like, Nissan, what are you doing? And Tomei seems to get the drill. She's like, why is he up there? He is not suited to give a speech. Tomei's like, was he forced to go up there? And then Tsubomi's like, Mob-kun. So here's the crazy thing. Tsubomi, she notices Mob, but she never says hi to him. But at the end, when she sees him use his power to help the girl, she says to him that was smooth and acknowledges him. Which, I I'm really glad about. I'm like, good, Tsubomi. I'm glad you're acknowledging Mob. Now, could you walk up and talk to him? like he likes you a lot. What if you don't like him? Tell him you don't like him. But that doesn't seem to be the case. So I'm like, what are you doing, Tsubomi? Mob clearly likes you. Talk to him. Communicate. What are you doing? So it's so weird that she doesn't say anything to him, even though she notices him. And yeah, you can practice a speech over and over again, but if you don't got the public speaking, if you get scared of public speaking, the fear is real. And then I love the Body Improvement Club are all like, it's all about guts, Kageyama. And he just, and I love that Onigawara's like, you pulled a fast one on me, white tea poison. Are you not content with ruling the school from the shadows? I love Onigawara. You're not content ruling from the shadows is so good. It's hilarious. And then Ritsu is like, and I love that Ritsu in this moment takes this to be like, oh, I was going to support Kamuro, but this changes everything. Like he suddenly becomes edgelord by the tiniest little things. Ritsu hasn't changed. Ritsu's not changed a bit. He's still on good terms with his brother, but there's that edgelord factor that Ritsu's like, this changes everything. Him and Sho may actually get along really well. This may be the start of something beautiful. I don't know. But I just love that Ritsu instantly becomes an edgelord. It's like, what is even happening? And Mob, Shigeo from class 2-1, he just can't speak. He goes to speak and nothing comes out. And just the way that the entire class, like, just becomes little blinking gray blobs. I'm like, oh my God. Like, he can't do it. He couldn't do it. He was the first person to not say a single word. So Kamuro won. Kamuro won again. And then whoever Nakayama and Morishige are, they got second and third and Mob gets last. But yeah, clearly Kamuro won. So he's class president again. Okay. Poor Mob. Our poor Mob boy. And then I like the Masato. Masato doesn't think less of Mob. She's just like, he's not going to be the founder at this rate. I'm so curious what her motivations are. Why she's thinking this way, what the deal is. So I'm assuming we will eventually find that out. I don't know. But yeah, fun time. She's like, I need him to be better. So yeah, Mob is being, and maybe that's Kasubomi's things is that she doesn't want to bother Mob. Maybe she wants Mob to get the courage to talk to her on his own. Maybe she wants Mob to ask her and to be in control of his own actions. Because yeah, Mob's thing is that he's a really nice person, super nice. And Mob, he kind of, just in this episode alone, he goes along with helping Reigen. Now, granted, that's part of his job, so he really, that's part of work, whatever. But he goes along with Masato and running for class president because she kind of bribed him to. So there's that. And then he goes along with Emi because he's being nice, but he really doesn't have any feelings for her. He's just being nice to her. But then it's at the end, he makes a decision on his own. He does two things that he makes a decision for. He chooses to stand up for Emi, which no one asked him to. He did it on his own volition, and he put her book together. So he made those choices on his own. And Tsubomi saw that. So maybe, honestly, if that's what Tsubomi's waiting on, if she wants Mob to be in control of his actions and talk to her out of his own volition, and she doesn't want to scare him away, okay, props to her. I'm on board with that. If she doesn't want to force him or push him, because Mob is that type of character right now that he kind of he wants to be nice and doesn't know how to say no. And so he would probably go along with it even if he wasn't comfortable. And she doesn't want that. She wants him to come to her on his own terms when he's comfortable. And then she can kind of agree to be with him at that point. So you know what? Fine. If that's how Tsubomi is, that's kind of cool. It was a cool reveal that she saw him put the book back together though. And then of course Mob's like, I never should have done that. And the Body Improvement Club's like, man, he's got it bad. This was some next level embarrassment. And they even tell him to go home. They're like, you need to leave. But It's like love letters are like Mob's candy in a van. If you want to lure Mob to the scary van, you give him a love letter because he goes behind the school and meets Emmy, who asks him to go out with him. And Mob's process to his explosion is 21% because, yeah, Mob doesn't like her. He's just like, but he doesn't want to turn her down either, make her feel bad. She did say he did turn her down, but he agrees to like walk her home and stuff to be nice to her. Also, we see the really bitchy girls and there's Emmy with them and they're in the crane game gathering that. That all makes sense now. Also about the logo, was going to point this out. I realized at episode 10 that I've been using the second season Mob logo the entire time in my thumbnails. The whole time. I was like, I didn't realize that number 2 there. I don't know what I thought it meant, but then I saw the thing for season 2 and was like, nope, that was supposed to be okay. So, gonna keep it because we're on season 2 now, but I was like, nobody corrected me, so I was like, must be fine. But yeah, these mean girls, they're awful. And Emmy just kind of goes along with it, right? She doesn't stand. And I like that in the crane game, we see that the mean, ugly girl, she like tries to get the bear and it doesn't work because she's a winch. But yeah, so Emmy and them, I love that Kageyama's like, he takes her home and then comes back to the Body Improvement Club. And everyone in the Telepathy Club is like, he has a girlfriend? How is this even possible? But Mob's nice to her. But here's the thing. Mob is kind of, he's afraid of saying something bad. He's not true with Emmy. Not at first, because he wants her to not think less of him. So he lies about working for Reigen, and he lies about his psychic power. And the thing I like about this episode is that by the end of the episode, he says, no, screw it. And he shows her the power, and she ends up liking him even more because of it. Not like romantically. She goes home and is like totally writing your autobiography into a story. So that's hilarious. But yeah, she's like, oh, I'd love to work at a bookstore. And she kind of is open with Mob. That's the thing about Emmy that I do like, even though she started this was kind of like a she's all that scenario, right? If Mob just like takes off the glasses and suddenly he's hot. If Mob just cuts his hair a certain way, suddenly he'd be hot. You know, we could do that. But it's kind of like she's all that, where she starts out going out with him on a dare and then slowly, you know, appreciates his character more and more. But we'll talk about the hill scene. But yeah, here she's like, oh, I'd like to work in a bookstore and I'm writing a novel. So she kind of opens up to Mob and reveals some true stuff about herself. And Mob totally accepts her, which I think she appreciates. And so she's like, I'm writing a novel. And at first she thinks he's making fun of her, but he's not. And so Mob is taking her home every day and then going back to the school to the Body Improvement Club. He's just being nice. And Dimple's like, why are you doing this? You know, you can just tell her no, it's okay. But Mob is too eager to please. And Dimple's like, well, why do you bother coming home? And then I like that Reigen's like, hey, you seem more cheerful than usual today. What's up? And we cut over to Mob. And he's like, your exorcism game's on point too. And Mob is just sitting there like with the most wholesome face, with the blushy cheeks, the wholesome face. He's like, really? And there's like all these exorcisms happening. God, it's funny. But he's like, oh, really? You think so? I can't tell myself. Oh my God. But yeah, and then Reigen's like, oh, did you get a girlfriend? And Mob stops and he's like, as if. Says, here's the thing. Misato wants Mob to become leader of this religious organization for reasons. Reigen, I don't think would want Mob to have a girlfriend because that would cut into his time working for him. So I wonder if that whole thing in the first OP where Tsubomi is like going around Mob and Reigen's throwing the salt at her like, be gone, wench! You didn't want to talk to him before, why do you want to talk to him now? I wonder if that's something to do with it. Possibly. And he's like, I'm done with the exorcism, I'm going home. And then, oh my God, he like slammed as he like ran right into the doorway. I want to go back and watch that again. Like he ran right into the doorway. Oh, bless his heart. Oh my God. And Reigen's like, wait, what's happening? What's going on? And Reigen just doesn't understand. He's like, what? Reigen's like, is he getting a girlfriend? This is going to cut into my exorcism time using him. How can I make my business? And then Mob asks for seconds. Like he's, you know, she's like, oh, you never ask for seconds. Like Mob's in such a good mood. And then the dad says, oh, did you use too much of your psychic powers? Like, just talking about it like it's normal. And Ritsu's like, why is he in such a good mood? What's the deal? And so then we get to the hill scene. And what was kind of, at first it was a little confusing because she asked Mob his opinion about her book. And he's honest. He's like, oh, it's really good, I think. That's the thing, I think, is that Mob is not expressing his true thoughts. A lot of times Mob is just trying to make people feel good and is just agreeing to agree, but then it's like you don't know you don't know what he really stands for because he agrees with everything, so it makes it hard to truly trust him or feel genuine about him at times, like socially. And so, but Mob thinks, he's like, oh, I don't really understand this, but I think it's good. And you can tell she really cares about this novel. He's like, you know a lot of big words. But the thing is, for Mob, him saying, oh, you know a lot of big words, your vocabulary is very big, this is nice, that is him giving a genuine compliment. She just takes it the wrong way and says, oh, well, she's like, if you don't get it, just say so. And Mob's like, what did I do wrong? He's like, no. He's like, that's not what I meant. I did pay attention to every word. And she's like, Kageyama-kun, it's been a week since I asked you out. And she says, you rejected me then. Why do you still walk home with me? So he did reject her, but he wanted to make her feel good. So Mob wants to have his cake and eat it too in all these social interactions. And she's like, that's just not possible. Like, if you don't like something, just say you don't like it and it's okay. But he isn't doing that, right? And so then she tells him that it was all a dare. And she asks if he feels bad for her. And he's like, no, it's nothing like that. Aw. She's like, I know you're going back. So she feels like he's pitying her and she feels pathetic because of it. But Mom's like, that's not my intent. I just, want to go back to the club, but I don't want to let you down. And he tells her that. And she's like, all you do is apologize. I don't understand how you feel at all. Or could it be that you don't even have feelings? Oh my God. Mob has feelings. He has many feelings. So many feelings. But I do agree with her that he apologizes all the time and doesn't ever say exactly what he thinks. He just kind of goes with the flow around everybody, which is fine. But then when you try to have like a big, meaningful conversation, it doesn't go anywhere. So she's like, look, if you don't like something, you need to be genuine with me. She's like, you just apologize and agree with everything I say. Like, do you have thoughts of your own? Do you have your own opinions? You froze up during the campaign speech. Did you only run because someone else told you to? And Mob's like, well, kind of. And she's like, you've got to be your own person. And so he's like, oh. And I just love that he just looks so sad on the hill with her. But I'm glad that she told him this so that maybe it'll start getting him to like do his own thing. But then she says that she is like him too. She's like, I know how this feels because that's how I am. She's like, I'm part of a mob mentality. It's a mob mentality. You just go with the flow, right? And go with what everyone else is saying. And she's like, I do that too, but I'm not happy about it. And so she's kind of trying to read him out as well. And he's like, oh, you are? And she says, I asked you out because of a dare. And Mom's like, oh. She said, we thought your silent speech was hilarious and we played rock, paper, scissors and I lost. And she's like, I was afraid I'd be the laughingstock if you turned me down. But since you started walking home with me, they never found out that you did. So she said, thanks. She's like, you actually saved me from getting embarrassment by embarrassing yourself. And it's like, I felt so bad for Mob for a lot of this episode because I was like, Mob, he was trying to be nice. And she just threw that out there. And she's like, I figured it was about time I told you. And then she just leaves him. But at least she apologizes. She's like, I'm sorry to lying to you. She thinks that this is the last time they're going to see each other. She's like, I'm going to confess that I lied to him and we used him. And then I'm just going to move on. Because she realizes he's actually a decent person. And she doesn't want to hurt him. And Mob just sitting there on the hillside. Like thinking, like, okay, what do I do? And he thinks back to the time that he walked with her. And she seemed kind. And all the gestures and moments they had together. And him like running into the tree, bless his heart, and her like staying beside it, but then her showing him his book and him being nervous with sweat drops as she shows him the book. Like, that's so sweet, Mob. Bless his heart. That's so cute. I want to get a picture of that there. Like, that's so sweet that he was, like, trying to, like, do stuff with her and everything. And then her smiling and talking to him. And the sweat disappears. He's like, oh, yeah. So they had, you know, some connection there, some friendliness. And Mom's like, okay. So I feel like, I don't think Mob is truly sad that she left him, because I don't think he liked her like that to begin with. Obviously, he has only eyes for Tsubomi-chan. But I do feel like he understands that she is still a person, and the moments they had together weren't false. They really, you know, did happen and had meaning to them. So then we have these bitches that take her novel, right? And she tries to downplay it. She's like, oh, I was just bored. I was just, you know, didn't have anything else to write. And they're like, well, this seems like a pretty serious novel for somebody that was bored. And she's like, oh, I really didn't have anything to do. I was like, she's just going with the flow and saying whatever she can to get on their good side, even if it's a lie. And that mean woman, she just like ripped up that whole novel. I mean, it does not surprise me that it was a middle school action. Like, this is some middle school mean girl shit right here. Her just ripping apart the novel. And instead of wasting your time writing this drivel, come to the arcade with us. And she's like, no. And then they just tear it apart and get it on the ground. She's like, no, if you're going to do it, just make sure it's all ripped up. She's like, if you're going to go ahead and tear up my work, just make sure you do a good job of it. And that's so sad, seeing all that fall. And then Mob says, stop it. Mob defends her. He's like, no. And they're like, it's that guy. The one who turned statue during his speech. He can talk. And they ask what his problem is. And they're like, didn't you know that we only asked Emmy to date you on a dare? And they're like, she's not your girlfriend. And Mob's like, it's really mean of you to rip up the novel she worked so hard to write. Our bean, our sweet cinnamon bean. And like, I thought you said it was just to kill time. She's like, oh, well, something like that. And when they tell him to get a clue, I was waiting for him to snap a little bit, because the whole get a clue thing is like a trigger for Mob. But he just walks over there and starts picking it up. He doesn't get mad. He just starts picking up the novel pieces. He's like, I don't think this is trash. If you're going to throw it away, I'll take it. He says, I made the decision to consider my feelings more. So yeah, Mob has made this choice. He has made this choice to consider his feelings. Which I love, because Mob's like, I'm thinking for myself now. I'm putting some self-care into this. Whatever I think is a worthy cause, I'm going to fight for it. And just his eyes kind of like, his pupils bigger. He's like, I don't think this is trash. I think we should pick it back up again. So good. And Emmy, you can tell, is just like, this guy. He's like, you need to pick up things you feel are important. And he's about to cry. And it's just like, it's the saddest thing. Because Mob, our sweet bean, he doesn't know what to do. He like genuinely thought that maybe him and Emmy had something. But she's revealed that that wasn't the case. He still doesn't have Tsubomi-chan. He made a fool of himself in front of the entire student body. But he's just like, I feel like this is important. And so I want to do everything I can to help this person out. But he's just like, when the tears forming in his eyes, it's so sad. And you just feel for him, right? And Emmy's like, oh, what is he talking about? Talk about creepy. And Emmy, she goes to help him. And she's like, you guys can head home. I'm going to stay here. And what I love is that, one, the mangaka makes them all look like so like ugly and like their heads all misshapen. When she like shows them up, she's like, I'm going to stay here. You guys go on ahead. And he makes them all look just like so misshapen. Mm-hmm. I love it. And they're like, bye. It's so good. And of course, I was like, y'all gathered up all those paper pieces of the novel into a big old pile. What's the first thing that happens? Big old gust of wind knocks it away. But then he holds one, she gives it, and it says, no going back. So yeah, Mob can't go back. The past is over. He can only move forward and become a better person. So at this point, he's like, you know what? I'm going to use my powers. And she says she holds the piece that says no going back. So she saw it, not him. Okay. She saw the piece that said no going back. And she's like, I'll just write the novel again. It's fine. But then Mob uses his powers to bring it all back together. And she's just so like stunned and in awe. Oh, I love it. And you know what? When Mob's hair is like all up in the air and spiky, he actually looks really good. Mob looks more like Ritsu. When his hair's all spiky, he's using his psychic powers. He actually looks cuter. It's like, oh, it's like, come on, Mob. But yeah, he puts it all together for her to give back to Emmy. And he's like, you see, I happen to be an Esper. And she's just like, she doesn't get mad at him or think he's creepy or anything. She's just kind of really thankful that he put it all back together for her. That was really sweet. And she says, thank you, Kageyama-kun. And then Tsubomi's like, smooth. Like, what are you doing at the bottom of the hill? But again, I'm going to give Tsubomi-chan the benefit of the doubt. Going to give her the benefit of the doubt that she's waiting on Mob to come to her. Fair enough. I dig that. She's waiting on him to get the courage to come to her. All right. She's put herself out there. He has to come to her and ask her out. Okay. I'm totally in on it. I'm totally here for it. And the episode's called Ripped Apart. Someone is watching. Tsubomi is watching, and then the novel was ripped apart. And so, yeah, then Mob goes back home and explains everything to Dimple, and Dimple's like, you mean there was like a girlfriend and all this fun happening and you didn't tell me? He's like, what are you talking about? Dimple-sama's like, are you serious? He's like, I never would have expected you to show someone your powers on your own. He's growing. He's like, what happened after that? Dimple wants all the juicy details. He's like, that Emmy girl, whatever. Did her attitude change? Did she fall in love with you? Aw, I love Dimple. Dimple's like such a romantic. Who knew? Who knew Dimple had a romantic side? He's like, that would never happen just because I have psychic powers. Oh, I don't know, but Mob is convinced that the psychic powers, they don't make you have people fall in love with you or make you popular. And then Dimple's like, really? Is that how it is? I thought that it would be the opposite. And then we see her go over, like Emmy go over the paper and say psychic powers, huh? And then she sits back. And I love that she has like a baseball tee. Like, Kageyama-kun sure is amazing. And then it hits her. A middle school student with psychic powers. And she's inspired. Oh. And he's like, oh, you fell for another love letter, too. I love that Dimple's like, you need to quit falling for those. They tend to be lies. So, at least now, we know that Emmy thinks that Mob is amazing. But it wasn't because of his psychic powers that she thinks he's amazing. It's not because of his psychic powers. It's because he took the time to stand up for her and help her put her novel back together when he didn't have to. He took the time to help her. The psychic powers are irrelevant. I mean, they're inspiration for her future Pulitzer Prize-winning story, but they're not why she thought he was amazing. It's because of his kindness and his compassion. And so then Dimple's like, well, I can advise you through the woes of romance. And Mob's like, no. He's like, I'll stay by your side forever. And it shows him like doing this weird, crazy montage. And Mob's like, that's gross, no. Mob's like, I'd really rather you not. He's like, you're not nice to me, but I knew that. And then Mob's explosion is at 27%. So the books on the shelf, we have Lifting Weights is the Best Answer to Everything. How to Properly Read Novels, How to Properly Read Series, How to Properly Read Social Cues, How to Properly Read Series, aww. And then Progress Towards Mob's Explosion, Delicious Vegetables, a Japanese Dictionary, Improve Your Speech, Bears, Improve Your Speech, Waterfall Meditation. Great. Wonderful. And then that's pretty much the episode. Oh my gosh. So yeah, a surprising season starter that is all very self-contained, that is just about Mob's personal like social skills and his personal like goals for himself. I feel like this season is going to be about Mob becoming in control of his own actions and not going along with just what anybody says, but making choices for himself. Even if they are choices to help others, they are his choice and not someone else telling him what to do. Maybe that'll be what Masato's looking for, but I'm fascinated by Masato, fascinated by Tsubomi, fascinated by everything in the OP. I'm just excited for all of it, but yeah, how exciting. So I'm really looking forward to season 2, y'all. I can't believe we're already here, but I'll probably wait a little bit before getting into episode 2. I'll probably wait till we get a few more comments from YouTube and Patreon before I get into that, but I just couldn't wait. I had to dive in. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts about this episode. Please, no spoilers, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. So I hope you all enjoyed this reaction and discussion. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll be back next week with more Reigen Thirst and more Mob Psycho 100. Bye.